Hello my friends, what up peeps, how's it going? Now, I'm going to start this video off by saying thank you to all my subscribers. And also thank you to my Patreon supporters. I only have a few, but I don't feel like I say that enough. And regardless of what I titled this video, I find it to be, this is going to be an important one for me, just to kind of cover a few bases to let you all know what's going on with me and my channels. Because if you enjoy listening to my content, for whatever reason it may be, you're going to want to look in the right place for the type of content you enjoy. Now first off, this will be uploaded perhaps to a couple different channels, but to my plant channel that I've been using for a long time, which I've recently hijacked and been using for a variety of different topics. So apologies to anyone who just wanted to hear about plants or herbs, because this channel mostly is dedicated to basically my discoveries in nature, finding herbs and processing them, things like that. My main channel I will be able to upload to again in about 2 days, I believe, 3 days. So I will go back to that channel for uploading my general thoughts, philosophies, ideas about life and whatnot. Those two channels tend to be the ones I use the most, but as you know, I have many different subjects. I have a ton of facets to me, and I get really into something, I get really interested, and I want to share it with people. And then I ask myself, well, is it really worth sharing, or are there 1,000 videos about this already? But it doesn't really matter to me, because I'm not doing this for views as much as to just share information with the world. But then when I go deeper, I'm like, well, of course, you have to get views in order to share the information, so of course I want it to be shared. But this has been 8 years. This is my 8th year doing YouTube, and I'll tell you, I've made thousands of videos, and I still haven't learned a damn thing. I haven't figured out how to make it into a business or make it work without, of course, you know, even with, if I had ads, it wouldn't really make that much of a difference, but I've been doing this on the cheap for a long time. You know, I'm sitting here in my little area, and for people who just come across one of my videos randomly, they might think, well, you know, he's just thinking off the top of his head, and a lot of the time I am. But other times I also have been taking notes, mental notes, physical notes. I'm usually just surrounded by books and papers that I've been writing, so I can try to, like, really cover my bases. But anyhow, what I really wanted to get to was that you may notice on my channel, controversy avoidance is something that, it's not that I avoid controversial subjects, it's just that I really get tired of hearing people's just pathetic comments when it comes to politics, when it comes to even just climate change or something like that. There's just so much division. So I can handle the comments, it's just, why bother? It feels like you're preaching to the choir when you're telling somebody, like if I were to make political videos complaining about the president or anyone else in politics, it wouldn't really do much good. But there's still this fire inside many of us where we want to share some of our frustrations. So I do have a channel set aside for that. So if controversy is your thing, if you want to hear how I feel about politics, about world issues, military wars that we're fighting, and very specific people, like I won't get into that here, but I've been hearing commentaries, you know, commentators and various, what they call themselves, journalists, which really just, basically they just sit there and they just want to hear themselves talk. And this is the point of this third channel that I'm starting. It's called the End of the World Podcast. And there's a little bit of cynicism in there, but it's not necessarily the end of the world. What it is it's a kind of a mockery of the way that everyone's treating the world, like everything's falling apart constantly, and the way the media just abuses these stories. Now look, I lean towards a liberal viewpoint, but I am damn well not one of these snowflake liberals that is afraid of hearing people use bad words and gets offended by everything. In fact, I find the PC culture to be one of the biggest issues we have right now when it comes to people fighting back and forth about what they can and can't say. It really upsets people. So anyhow, I would like to talk about these issues, and so that third channel, I'll put a link for it perhaps in the description. One thing that I've noticed, pardon me, this is where I get into the reason why this is important to me, is because I don't generally watch the media or commentaries or personalities who want to tell me the news with their whole opinion thrown into it. But I do watch them once in a while just to get a viewpoint, and it's just constantly disappointing. the more disgraceful you are, the bigger platform you have. So if you want to be controversial, you have to take sides. If you want to get people who are going to follow your channel or subscribe to your magazine or whatever you're trying to sell, it's about pulling people's emotions. And that really bothers me because I like to see things from both sides and say both sides look like idiots, you know. But it's not even sides, it's just people in general. Divisive political rants get the most airtime by far. And that's just why we have these constant battles, you know, on television especially. It's disgusting. I can't even believe I used to watch cable, you know, but now the ads have crept in and the BS has crept into the politics, it's crept into the policies and what's going on in the world. So the more of a loud, annoying person you are, the bigger platform you get. And that's unfortunate, but it all comes down to ratings. And people want somebody that they can just say, yeah, yeah, I'm with you, I'm with you. That's not my point for this other channel. It's not to get people on my side. It's to hopefully open a couple eyes to some of the bullshit that we're all being fed. You remember when you hear this about kids, say, you know, any attention is still attention, you know, even bad attention. And kids will whine and cry in order to get attention because attention is attention. Well, it's the same way with publicity. You know, bad publicity is still publicity. So people say extreme things so they can get talked about. And, you know, we're stuck in this circle of complete nonsense. It's this, look at me at any cost, even to sacrifice our morals. And it's, you know, the morals are sacrificed, cognitive bias becomes, you know, the winner of the day, and everybody uses the same tactics. You know, it's this constant poking and prodding at, look at what this person did and look at what that person did. However, there are some people that deserve to be called out. Unfortunately, they are usually the ones who are pointing the fingers. And that's my intention, is to talk about some of these bullshit journalists that, you know, these commentators that are basically just talking heads. So some of their tactics are to demean and slander and ridicule and then just repeat, repeat, repeat. They're the kind of people who just want yes or no answers. They refuse to hear an answer. They're like, no, I'm asking you, is it yes or no? Yes or no? When it's a question that's obviously more complex. Well-known tactic. And refusing to hear the responses on complex issues means that you can't really talk about it. They also categorize and stereotype others. Anybody who thinks one thing is thrown into this lump with a whole group of other people. There's major overgeneralizations made, and a refusal to budge on any issues, to even compromise or say maybe that's true. It's just this catfight where people are arguing back and forth to try to get the most airtime, and it's pretty sickening. Little fruit flag. And another tactic is these selective media clips where they'll just show one thing one person said out of context. And these things do bother me. And I keep my mouth shut about it on my main channel because nobody wants to hear my opinion on politics on my philosophy channel. So I set aside the other channel for that. You know, there are too many people talking out there. I understand this. As a musician, when I was younger, it was hard enough to get recognized, and then you get older and people are like, oh, I can make my own music now. Oh wow, I can easily record. I have all the digital stuff to do it. Guess what? So can everybody else. And this is what's happened with media. There are 10 times more musicians and 10 times more talking heads. Everybody is just repeating these same old stories, constantly recycling the same old garbage. And the worst part is that they play victim and claim that they're the ones that are being silenced when people don't agree with what they say. And this goes for all people. And it's, you know, in the media. It's like, oh, well, and sometimes they are being silenced. Unfortunately, it's by their own managers, their own owners, the Rupert Murdochs of the world, who decide what goes on the news and what doesn't. And so what exploded was this whole alternative media where people were just telling you the other side that they wanted you to hear, and that was bullshit too. You know, these echo chambers form. I read that 25% of the people get their news from Facebook, and that was a little disturbing. 25% of people, and that's just the ones who admit it. So these echo chambers form where we just hear ourselves repeated over and over saying, yeah, pat on the shoulder. And people become very hypersensitive And I see this especially in extreme conservatives and extreme liberals, for example, but it goes to all walks of life. Anybody who feels a certain way, like they're being slighted or talked about bad, now it's become this huge issue of calling people out on every little thing they say, and people have to tiptoe around everything they say. And look, I know a lot of shit, but I don't know all shit. I don't know everything. Nobody does. But there are actually people out there who really think they know it all. And it's just absurd to me. I feel like I have a pretty good grasp on reality and truth, and that's the best I can do. But as for tackling more sensitive topics, I'm doing it for the sake of sanity, my sanity, because I feel like so many rational voices are being drowned out by so much bullshit out there. So anyway, as to this third channel, I will laugh with you on left and right issues. I'll laugh along with you with making fun of, ourselves. And I'm not talking about them. I'm not pointing the finger here. I'm saying us. We all have these issues because we're all involved in it. And so I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to tackle it, but that'll be the three channels: my main channel, my plant channel, and then my kind of a, whatever, the politics philosophy channel, if you will. So I'm going to be fair to myself, but I'm going to express myself. I won't be overly, harsh on people. If you have an opinion, you have an opinion, and that's what I like. I like to have the discussions because I think that they're worth it. There is a lot of frustration in mainstream media, and it's for good reason. And a lot of people realize and have seen through the bullshit that's out there. So I just wanted to say, do we need another dude talking about politics? No, probably not. But that's why I'm putting it on a separate channel altogether. So hopefully, if YouTube doesn't give me any more strikes on my main channel, I will be able to use it again. And I hope so, because that's important to me. I really need to start uploading my thoughts to my main channel. For what it's worth, it's something, after all these years, I still don't know why I do it, but it's one of the few things that I stick with and I really enjoy doing. And hopefully I'll turn it into a career someday, maybe in journalism of my own. I'd love to go out and do stories and cover topics, but it's expensive and it's time consuming, and I don't make any money doing it. So it's, I don't know. I guess if it's a passion enough, you just find a way to do it, right? So maybe I will. But that, I guess, leads me to the end. Thanks for listening. And what do you all want to hear about? I know people say, well, talk about what you want to. Well, I do, and I have been. I've uploaded like 4,000 videos, and they've always been about what I like. But I'd also like, I know other people have suggested topics in the past that are important to them. You're welcome to go to the other one, check out the controversial topics page, and maybe we can go from there when it comes to more heavy stuff. So I'm going to head out. Have a wonderful day. Thanks for listening, and I'll talk to you all soon. Be well.